No, pooping is super fun. You ever turned off the lights and pooped in the dark? It's like Six Flags.
Oh gosh. You would have that in your brain.
I'm just trying
Actually,
to think of
funny
like
enough-
my experiences at Six Flags. And, like,
How fun it is versus pooping in the dark. Actually, funny enough, I heard that from a girl I went to school with in college.
I love women. They're so
They're the
hilarious.
best.
This is the Always More podcast.
Hello and hello. As if you're listening, it is probably March 8th. Welcome to the Always More podcast, where we believe there's always more room at the table for honest questions, meaningful conversations, and deeper understanding. Today on the pod, we're talking about the Flat Earth conspiracy, boxing, random rants, old-timey bonnets, and so much more. But first, I am your host, humbled as always, Chris Ford. Sitting next to me is probably not as humbled, but still pretty humble guy, Tim Lichty.
Hello, hello.
And across from me, or to your left or right, however you're viewing this on whatever media, if you're just listening, she is definitely here and not on the computer.
I can edit it to where she's in the left ear.
Can you?
Yeah,
You can put it like just in the left ear? I don't know why that excited me so much. We have Harley the Bean Bianco.
Ooh.
What's up, guys?
That's me.
How y'all doing?
Hi.
Would that be annoying or pleasant? Like to have us in the right ear and then Harley in the left ear, the way it looks on the video?
I think it would be annoying for me.
Probably.
Like,
Yeah.
I like, especially because I only use one headphone at a time, so like I wouldn't hear. I wouldn't hear. Because like if I've got my headset on, it's like I've got one ear open so I can hear everything else around me because I don't trust my surroundings ever.
Oh, right.
I gotta know if somebody's sneaking up on me. And if it's my Skull Candies, the AirPod, not knockoffs, they're better sound quality than the AirPods, but they're like less expensive. I don't know how to explain it, but I really only use one at a time. So
So you're only hearing half the conversation.
That was a really great joke.
honestly, though, if I had to choose, I would just put the one that Harley talks in. I would completely ignore myself because it's weird hearing yourself speak.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're telling me. Every time I record
That's-
this stuff, I'm like, oh, why
I was
am I
about to
talking?
say, Tim, the one who
No, 'cause-
edits
like,
everything.
you know how like you always hear yourself in your head and you're like, oh man, I sound smooth and sexy, and then you hear yourself out loud like on a microphone or something, and your voice is like 3 octaves higher
Yeah.
and like choppy
Yeah.
and stuffy. Like I hate it.
It's like the filter thing on TikTok right now. The glam filter. What it is? Is that what it's
Oh,
called?
yeah, the bold glam or whatever it is called.
Yeah.
You think how you talk is like that filter, but then when you take
When you
it off,
see it, it's like without the filter.
You look bonita.
I feel bonita. I feel like I actually sound like Chris from Family Guy. That's what it is. And I don't like it. Like my whole life, people are like, oh, Chris, you sound really good when you sing. You can sing great. And I'm just like, I guess. I can find the note. That's about it. I hate the sound.
oh man, Chris, you ready to move forward?
Yeah,
Ready to
if
do
my
this.
iPad would quit dying, that'd
Why?
be lovely. So I had a, before we move on,
Yeah, please explain.
my laptop died. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know what happened to it. I think my daughter stepped on it. There's no cracks. There's no, like, breakage or anything. But the screen has, like, these vertical bars of glitch, like 6 or 7 of them. And then anything that's not covered by the vertical bar of glitch is backwards. I don't know how it happened. I truly have no idea what's going on. I don't go to weird websites, so there's no chance it's a virus.
It's define weird.
You know what I mean. You know.
all right.
I don't go to weird websites.
See,
there's
meet
no
hot
virus
mingles in your
chance.
area or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not looking for hot singles to mingle, all right? I'm not on farmersonly.com is what I'm saying. So all of that being said, I have no idea what happened, but my in-laws are nice enough to let me borrow a iPad with a keyboard, so that's what I'm using for this.
It's nice.
And it's pink, and I like it. I was just
It's
telling
so
Harley,
cute.
if they gave it to me, I would not replace the case. I actually really like it.
Good for you.
I might replace the loop for the Apple Pencil because it's not like super tight. But other than that, Everything else is good.
Cool.
So let's go ahead and get started on this one for the day. We'll start off with our typical segment, Wreck and Rev.
Oh, I had the volume down.
Come on, bro. You're killing me. You're killing me. You have one job.
You're killing me, Smalls.
Tim has 100 jobs, actually. This is the part of the show where we recommend and review some things you may not have seen. Let's start with our friend Harley. What you got?
Ooh. Okay, so mine's on Netflix, and it's called Anne with an E.
You want to know something? I have seen all 3 seasons of this.
Have you really?
I have.
Oh my God, actually a show that Chris has watched.
Yeah.
This is so exciting.
This is one that Janelle was watching, and I walked in and I was like, what is this? I don't want to watch this. It's dumb. But as a man, I stood there and watched the whole thing anyway. I got super sucked in. I got super sucked in.
That's how I've been with Downton.
Yeah. That's how I was with Downton, too.
It's good.
And now I'm like, Matthew, no.
Mr. Bates.
Yo, Mr. Bates is my favorite, and I will go to war for him. I would die and kill for Mr. Bates. All right?
I've been meaning to watch, what is it? How do you
Downton
pronounce
Abbey.
it? Downton Abbey?
Mr. Bates does not deserve all that stuff that happens to him. My God.
No, he doesn't. But he takes it anyway. He takes it because he is a true gentleman.
He's a good man.
He's a good man,
He deserves
Savannah.
the world.
Unlike Sybil.
You know what? We're going to do Don't Get Me Started later. And if Sybil is my word, then you'll hear my feelings.
Okay. I'm sorry. Harley, we interrupted you. I'm so sorry. During Women's
okay.
History Month, I'm so sorry.
How dare
It plays
we?
into the same genre of things, so, it's whatever. If you like this, you'll probably also like that.
Actually, I think
but-
it is about the same time period, isn't it?
Yeah, I think 1800s.
Yeah.
So-
late 1890s.
I think it's...
And with an E is in the late 1800s.
Downton it spans from the 1910s to like 1920s, 30s.
So it's
Oh,
close.
so it's a little bit
It's
after.
close.
Yeah.
Same genre, whatever. But basically, this is like, Anne from Green Gables, the story. If you've ever read that, then this is like the TV adaptation of it. It's super good. I think the main character for Anne is just incredible.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, I don't think they could have chosen a better person to play her. Her name is, I think it's Amy Mc something. Where is she at?
I'm looking at the notes.
Amy Beth McNulty is who plays her. But it's basically, if you don't know the actual story of Anne of Green Gables, she's an orphan. She's been placed in various abusive homes since she was like young because her parents died when she was like super young. But then she finally ends up with these 2 siblings who take her in, even though they really didn't want to, but that's whatever. But they take her in. And then, she kind of just becomes involved in this society that she had like no idea really existed. And it's very interesting because she's super intelligent, and that's not very common for that time period. So,
Yeah, the common theme I think too is just like women's rights and everything. Especially with Downton. Like Downton, they really, especially in the season I'm in, talking about women's right to vote and everything, and it's very prominent, and which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, suffrage.
Okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a
So-
really good show. If you don't listen to Harley's recommendation, listen to mine. I would recommend it. It's a good show. It's on Netflix.
yes.
All right. Next up, we got Tim. What are you reviewing for us?
Okay, I'm gonna recommend the Creed trilogy, guys. I've yet to see the third one, but the first 2 are fantastic. Have you seen Creed?
I've seen the first one. I want to say I started the second one, but I don't think I finished it.
It's on the server.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. It's probably also on HBO or one of those.
Yeah, so in case you didn't know, the Creed movie series is a spin-off from the popular Rocky film franchise.
I have seen all of those, including the horror picture show.
That's crazy.
Just recently.
Didn't make sense. I wasn't following the connection there, but
Nice.
Anyways, I just recently I do this thing where Hunter watches a movie and then I just kind of sit in the same room while it's going.
parallel
And so
play.
I sort of watched the first Rocky, and that was kind of cool. But I'm just not that interested.
That's relationships 101. Like, you get sucked in some way or form.
Yeah, like something's going on, and I like watch it for that scene, and I'm like, oh,
Have you seen the
and
fourth
go
one?
back to it. The what?
The fourth one. Rocky
There's
4.
a 4.
There's like 6 of them. Yeah.
I've barely even seen the first one.
Not 5?
I don't remember.
I think 5 is the one where he's old with his son.
Oh,
The fourth one is where he fights Ivan Drago.
I don't remember, to be honest. It's been so long since I've seen him.
Drago!
So it follows. What's his name? Adonis.
Adonis.
Thank you. Adonis Creed, the son of Apollo Creed, Rocky Balboa's former rival and friend. He is a young boxer who seeks to establish his own legacy in the sport while also trying to honor his father's memory. The films are known for their intense boxing scenes, emotional storytelling, and strong performance by Michael B. Jordan, one of my favorite actors right now, from him and from Sylvester Stallone. All great films. I think I'm going to go see the third one in the theaters soon.
I haven't
Nice.
been to the theater since Spider-Man. No,
Wow, that's a year.
it's been. I've seen some. I saw something since then. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, didn't Janelle gift you to a movie? No, it wasn't Ant-Man. It was
No.
something else. Was it Thor?
No, because I saw Thor after it came out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, it was
It's
something.
Black Panther. Duh.
Oh, yeah.
Black Panther.
Yeah, come
That's
on.
what it was.
Get your game together.
Well, since Black Panther, then.
Black
All right.
Panther.
All right, that's what I got, man.
All right, cool. Well, speaking of Black Panther and other Marvel movies, mine is Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. I don't know what that was, Harley,
What
but
is that?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, it's a squishy bear.
okay, cool. Anyway,
It's a fidget toy.
Sorry, audio-only listeners.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is Marvel's newest show on Disney Plus. It's black as hell, and I love it. So, after a 13-year-old super genius, Lunella, accidentally brings a 10-ton Tyrannosaurus Rex, Devil Dinosaur, into present-day New York via a time vortex, they work together to protect the city's Lower East Side from danger. So I don't know if you guys know much about like Marvel deep lore, but Lunella is actually Lunella Lafayette is her name, and I think she's like the second or third most intelligent super genius in the Marvel universe. Like she's right below Reed Richards, which is saying a lot for a 13-year-old.
Wow.
And she's black. She lives with her whole family. They own a roller rink. It's a really cool setup. So she is essentially, she brings this dinosaur in by accident when she's just trying to figure out a way to power the roller rink and the rest of the Lower East Side. The dinosaur shows up, and she trains it using hot dogs and like random meat that she finds as she's chasing it down the street, basically. And they become best friends, and her and this girl from her school end up like coming up with this superhero identity so that she can protect the Lower East Side of New York where she lives with her family. Pretty cool setup. I really like it. It's a little more for young kids, not like Ellie's age, like a little older than Ellie. But it's also a Marvel show, so you know how parents get to watch all those kinds of things. It's pretty cool. I like it. I like it a lot. And the soundtrack is pretty great. It's cool to see black characters like that in that kind of environment where they don't have to be the black person. They're just a superhero. And they're just doing their thing. Like they're with their family. They have a rolling rink and they do all kinds of cool stuff like that. It stars, what was her name? Man, I'm trying to remember her name off the top of my head. Whatever. I wrote it in the notes. Diamond White. So Diamond White is Lunella, and it also has Fred Tatasciore as the dinosaur, Devil Dinosaur. Alfre Woodard, Libe Barrere, I think is how you say her name. And they also have some pretty cool guest stars like David Diggs and Lawrence Fishburne, Allison Brie, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So it's a pretty good show.
Cool.
Super
Definitely check it
cool.
out.
Yeah, I'm looking up on the superhero DB, like all these smart superheroes, and she's on the list for sure. That's cool, man.
Yep,
I
there
love
you go.
that for her.
Cool.
And not
beans.
the fact that she brought a T-Rex, but,
Yeah.
you know, love that she's
I mean, it worked.
insanely smart.
It worked. She did it by accident, and then she trained a T-Rex. So
Yeah.
who else can say they did that?
It's a guy on a buffalo, except guy on a or girl on a
Period.
T-Rex.
So I would definitely suggest that. Like I said, Disney Plus. It's pretty cool.
Cool.
Nice.
All right. Moving on to our next segment. We've got one of my new favorite things. Don't get me started. In this segment, Tim is going to randomly generate some words, and we are going to rant about them, whether they deserve the rant or not. And I think it would be fun to start with Harley.
Okay.
I started last time,
Oh,
actually.
did you? Oh,
I did.
Okay.
So then
Well,
I think Chris should start because he didn't do it last time.
fair.
All right.
But also, I'm a professional, so
Yeah, so we'll just try to copy whatever you do.
don't do that. Come up with your own thing.
No, I don't want to be original.
All right, fine.
All right. This word generator
Just
doesn't.
like every other white person, copy the black.
Chris, cheese. Rant about it.
Cheese. Look, man, don't even get me started on cheese. First of all, who was the guy that decided cheese was okay? Okay? Because you start with milk, and then it gets old, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to eat this solid thing that appeared once I left this liquid thing out. It smells awful. It looks chunky, but I'm just going to throw it in my mouth, and we're going to call it a day. And then all of a sudden, it's socially acceptable. Like, you can shred it, you can cut it, you can slice it. There's too many things you can do with cheese, and there's too many flavors. How am I supposed to know which cheeses come from goats, and which cheeses come from cows, and which cheeses come from lizards? Like, none of this is okay. Did you know that you can milk an almond and turn that into cheese? I didn't know that. It's vegan cheese. What does that even mean? There's so many things that are wrong with this setup. Cheese, it's not solid. It's not liquid. It's a weird amalgamous plasmoid version of whatever you think it might be. And if you bite into the wrong one, you could die. You could die. People are allergic to cheese, and they can die. Lactose intolerance is a real thing, and you might think, oh, this one doesn't have lactose because it's a goat cheese. Wrong. You just ate cottage cheese. And let me not even get started on cottage cheese in general, because that is probably the most disgusting thing I've ever seen on the face of the planet. It's like a drippy goop. Like, if you had a really bad pimple, it's like what's inside of that. Have you watched those pimple popper videos? It looks like cheese when it comes out. It's disgusting. I hate it, and I hope whoever invented cheese has a horrible, bad day.
Wow. Bravo.
You forgot to throw blue cheese into there.
No, I didn't forget. I just hate blue cheese so much that I refuse to speak about it. I don't even want to acknowledge its existence, okay? It is all of the worst parts of it because it smells bad, it tastes bad, it crumbles weird. I hate everything that blue cheese claims to be.
Wow.
Respect.
Bravo, my friend.
Which is really weird because I actually love cheese.
Disclaimer for all of our listeners and video followers. I don't know if I'll include this, but we got some feedback when we posted these
Last time.
on TikTok. Like, no, especially the art one with Tira. It's like, yeah, of course you wouldn't like art. Just look at this podcast. Like, it's a joke, guys.
Bro.
I put it in the
Art is subjective, man. It's hurtful.
I put it in the hashtag, and I guess I didn't do.
You know people don't read.
No, they don't.
Maybe we should come up with a different intro to this segment then. Like in the
Yeah.
music, it's like, these are not our genuine beliefs.
You're right.
Put it on the video,
just
like
just
as
a
a little
small
banner.
subtitle up
Yeah.
top. Yeah. I'll
As a
do
little
that.
banner, put it on the video. These are not our genuine beliefs.
All right. Who's next, Chris?
Next, let's hear Tim.
Okay. So, Chris, you decide
Yes.
when it's a word that you want me to do.
All right. I'm not even going to look. Just hit it a bunch of times.
Well, it doesn't always do nouns, so you have to look at it.
Okay, I'll look when I tell you to stop. Stop. No. Stop. Yes.
The word is necklace. Okay, guys, let me tell you right now. I am a convert here, true and true, because I used to wear necklaces. I used to think they were the coolest thing ever. You put them around your neck, and they demonstrate something for you. But guess what? As I got older, I realized something. As life gets hard, and as life gets busy, and as things start weighing down on your shoulders, the last thing you want on your necklace and on your shoulders is another thing, is another weighted object. So no, necklaces, they get heavy, and the worst part about necklaces is they can like give you really horrible images of certain things that aren't actually true. Like, for example, Christendom, having a cross on your neck doesn't always mean that you're a very good Christian, or even like anything. It could be like the worst things in the world. So I don't know. I'm tired of having this burden of like having something around my neck when number one, you don't need it, and number two, it can demonstrate like the worst possible qualities about you as a human being.
Wow.
I mean, he's not even wrong.
Yeah. That was good.
Thanks.
That was there was some real passion behind those words.
The Christian part, yes, and it is true. It is true. I did get tired of wearing necklaces because it just got annoying to put on and off all the time. But yeah,
Yeah, I felt that one.
not saying that your necklace is bad, Chris.
Sorry, mine represents something to me, but go on.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Mine is cultural, sir.
Cultural.
Period.
All right, Harley, you ready for yours?
Nope, but I'm gonna do it anyways.
Chris, which one should we do?
Yeah, that's it. That's the one.
All right, Harley.
No, I'm scared.
You have to rant about comas.
Not the punctuation, commas. I want to hear how much you feel about comas
1 minute on the clock.
and the people in them.
Hold on. Let me organize my thoughts.
I'm not supposed to get you started, Harley.
Okay. This is going to go everywhere, just so everyone knows, because I
That's the
don't
fun
think
of
I
it.
have any organization to this. So
I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
don't get me started on comas. Do you know the different types of comas that there are? There is a medically induced coma and the kind that you just happen to fall into. Let's talk about the latter for a moment. If you just happen to fall into a coma, good luck getting out of it, buddy, because you're stuck. You're going to be there for a minute because that means that's your brain's way of telling you to shut it down. And you're going to have the craziest dreams. You're going to have the craziest thoughts. You're going to be there, but you really ain't. You're going to hear all of this commotion going on around you, and you can't do jack shit about it. Good luck. Let's move on to medically induced comas. This means you thought you consented to it, but you really didn't. So now you're stuck once again, and you're going to be here for less than you would be for a coma that you just ended up in, but you're still going to be there for a moment. And I think you're a little bit more conscious in a medically induced coma. So when you are experiencing all of these, imagine having a lucid dream that never stops. And it's one of those dreams where you go to sleep or you think it's over and then you wake back up and you're back at it again. And it never ends. And then you suddenly wake up and you're like, wow, I think I just lived 17 different lives in the last God knows how many hours or days. So that's how I feel about comas. I think they're scary, they're terrifying, and you should try to avoid them at all costs.
You know, I
Thank
was
you.
in a coma once.
Were you really?
It's medically induced. Yeah.
How did it feel?
I don't remember, honestly.
Oh, I love that for you. Oh, that's another thing about comas. You don't realize once you've waken up that you were in a coma.
Has it been 1 minute? Has it been 20 years? Who knows?
Yeah. You just kind of wake up and you're like,
Where am I?
oh, right on. Let's get to it. And everybody's like, bro, you've been out for 47 days. And you're like, God, what does that mean?
I tell you what, you missed a good opportunity to talk about how this is tied into rom-coms and comedies or romantic movies. And stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Snow
What
White.
was the one?
Oh, yeah.
The Vow?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was The Vow, where the lady like lost her memory after being in a coma, and the husband had to like make her fall in
Oh,
love again.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it was like Channing Tatum, so it was like super unbelievable.
Yeah.
Oh man.
All right.
Those are in like most romance movies, at least from like the 2000s.
Yeah.
Comas.
There's a coma in every single one of them.
There's a real big coma.
You're in
thing
a
going
coma.
on. Everybody here gets a coma.
You get a coma. You get a coma.
Oh man.
You live in Tacoma, Washington.
In a coma.
This is a wordplay thing.
I know what you did there.
Just making sure you saw it. All right, guys, we are going to head to a short break. I don't believe we're being paid for this one. So stick with us. We will be right back with our main segment.
Thank you all for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a rating on your favorite podcast platform and YouTube. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at AlwaysMorePod.
If you'd like to ask us a question for us to answer on the pod, you can email us at alwaysmorepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call us on our Always More hotline and leave a voicemail question at 254-218-4042.
You can also follow all of our social medias individually and as the Always More podcast. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to it. Welcome back from that nice little relaxing time period of no podcast, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. We're going to go ahead and dive into our main segment right now.
Yes.
I think Tim is going to lead this one because this is a belief that you genuinely hold, right?
God, no.
All right. For those who haven't caught on, today we are talking about the flat earth theory.
Oh, my goodness.
Which is probably one of my favorite conspiracy theories for the simple fact that it is so easily disproven.
Yeah.
And the people that hold it genuinely, they cling to it, man.
It's so wild. Like, we're going to see some of the whys, like why people cling on to this a little bit later. Like, some scientists explain why. But it's wild. I genuinely love going on TikTok and watching, like, these, like, there's these accounts where, like, just they're pro-Earth. And it's like, or pro-sphere, I guess. And they just...
Pro-sphere?
Yeah. And they debate, like flat earthers and stuff. It's a hoot. It's
a hoot and a half, if you ask me. All right, tell us a little bit about this flat earth theory, Tim.
Okay, so I realized that I have like these different sections. Harley, would you like to read some of this because it's history, and you are a history what's a proper connoisseur professional here?
Yeah,
A
absolutely.
history song,
However,
if
this
you
will
will.
be a learning experience for all of us. I know basic stuff, but like, you know,
Yeah.
not everything that Tim has researched.
No,
He's our head guy, by the way, guys. I don't know if you know, but like
Oh, they
Tim
know.
is the guy.
They know. I have made sure to
He's
tell
him.
them.
Oh, I wish I can get paid for this. Go ahead, Harley.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the ancient history of flat Earth. So the belief in a flat Earth can be traced back to ancient civilizations such as the Greeks, who developed some of the earliest cosmological theories. As we know, they developed pretty much everything that we stand for.
Except the number 0.
That's true.
That was Arabics.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I meant like
algebra.
philosophically, not like, you know, actual stuff that we, you know, use today. But anyways, this being an example, the Greeks believed that the Earth was a flat disk, so still flat, but like circular in shape, surrounded by the ocean, and the heavens were above with the underworld beneath it. So think of it as like a cake almost, like a wide cake
I do enjoy cake.
with layers. I hate cake, so therefore I hate this theory.
I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, I'm not a cake person. I like
Okay,
the
so-
cake itself.
Harley, when you meet my dad, don't tell him that.
Okay, but it depends on the kind of cake. Like I hate fake,
Nope. Just
like
don't.
all the fake icing and stuff.
Just
That's
don't.
what I really hate.
Don't. He
How about
says,
cheesecake?
He says cake is
I love
mandated
cheesecake.
by God,
Okay.
and it is his favorite thing on the planet.
Oh God.
So don't. He loves cake more than he loves me, I think.
Oh, dearie me. Okay, so this view, this cake view, was widely accepted throughout the ancient world, with similar beliefs found in civilizations such as Egypt, Babylon, and India.
And this is very similar to the biblical understanding as well. Like that's even Genesis 1. So the heavens were above, and it was like a firmament above it. That's like that dome sort of mindset. And so,
Very similar views. all over, pretty much, is what we've gathered. So the Greek philosopher Pythagoras, which you might know that name. Yes. Was one of the earliest proponents of the idea of a spherical Earth. He argued that the Earth was a sphere because it could cast a round shadow on the moon during a lunar eclipse.
It's not that hard,
Good
guys.
point.
Solid point.
Good point. This view was later developed by the philosopher Aristotle, which we all know, we all love. Go off, Aristotle, who provided further evidence for spherical Earth based on observations of the stars and the shape of the Earth's shadow during a lunar eclipse. Yeah. So basically, they just kind of reiterated the same point, being like, hey, guys, look at that. Who would have thought? There's got to be a reason for it. So despite these early advancements in cosmological theory, belief in a flat Earth persisted for centuries. And we're talking even up until Columbus, because that was like his whole thing. He was like, oh, I'm just going to keep going, see if I can find,
But
here's India?
The fun thing about it, though, is that most of the people knew that Earth was round by then.
But
Columbus was a flat earther.
Yeah.
But not
Because
in a
people
time
were
where
like-
most people were flat. They had globes. Like, they
Yeah.
knew the Earth was round at that point in time.
a lot of people did. Not everyone, but it wasn't like...
Most people did.
Yeah.
At least a lot of people who were like, what is the term when you like a ship? You're usually on ships. It's not pirate.
Sailor? A sailor?
Sailor, thank you. Thank you.
Pirate.
My brain erased that.
They're all pirates. Every one of
They're all
them.
pirates.
If you're in the Navy, you're a pirate.
But yes, if you're a sailor, then you know, like,
Yeah.
the Earth is not flat.
It's not hard, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, and then that's what the whole movie, Sinbad,
I feel
didn't
like
that also play into flat Earth?
I feel like I've seen it, but it's been so long, so I don't remember a thing.
I'm
But anyways.
more than 30 years old. So, no, I don't remember that movie.
What are you talking about?
That movie came out so long ago. And I saw it when it originally came out.
It wasn't one of those.
And you've
big
never
hits.
watched it again?
No.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's so good. It's on the same level as like
Nope.
Prince of
Nope.
Egypt.
I knew you were going to say that, and no, it's not.
They
No,
have
it
the
is not.
exact same
Harley.
No,
It's
dude,
the
they
same
have the
animation
exact
style.
same.
That's it.
Yes,
That's it.
and the
Prince of
storyline is
Egypt-
so good.
Prince of Egypt was one of the
Isn't Prince
number
of
one
Egypt a
storylines.
religious movie?
Yeah, but it's
No, it's about a religious story, but it was not made by religious people.
But it's still about a religious story,
So,
and that's
it's
problematic.
a good religious story. It's absolutely problematic, but it's a good story.
Oh my God, this one we can excuse. Okay,
Also,
anyways,
we
the music.
have to keep going.
Sinbad, if you've seen it, then you know a lot of it, the flat earth thing played into it, whatever. Okay. So, despite these early advancements in the cosmological theory, the belief in flat earth persisted for centuries. The Roman poet and philosopher Lucretius, I think that's how you say
Sure.
it. He was alive from
not gonna correct you.
99 to 55 BCE. And he argued that the earth was flat and that the heavens were a domed shaped canopy above, like how Tim mentioned. So, I'm sorry, I'm drinking coffee, so like, you know that mucusy feeling you get in like the back of your throat sometimes?
I do now.
nice. Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so it wasn't until the 3rd century BCE that the Greek philosopher Eratosthenes.
You like how I put the pronunciation in there for you?
Yeah, thank you. And that's still wrong, guys, so I apologize. Provided the first empirical evidence for a spherical Earth. So, Era is what I'm going to call him.
He calculated.
Calculated that the circumference of the Earth by measuring the angle of the sun's rays at different locations and found that the Earth was much larger than previously thought. So this view was further supported by the work of astronomers such as Ptolemy and Copernicus, who provided additional evidence for a spherical Earth based on observations of the stars and the planets. So this is when astrology and stuff starts getting into play, because they start to realize that, well, how the Earth looks at night really it changes.
Yeah.
And then also like, seasons and stuff. And this is when all of that starts to be known.
Yeah.
Galileo, who is famous for his support for the heliocentric model of the solar system, suggested that the Earth and other planets orbited the sun.
Wow.
This was revolutionary. Everybody was like, this man's a witch. They hated him for this.
He was excommunicated for this.
Literally. Keep reading.
In 1616, Galileo was warned by the Catholic Church not to support the heliocentric model of the solar system. Despite this warning, he continued to promote the idea, and in 1632, he published a book called Dialogue Concerning the Two Chief World Systems, in which he argued in favor of the heliocentric model. In 1633, he was tried by the Inquisition, and was found guilty of heresy for promoting the heliocentric model, and he was placed under house arrest for the remainder of his life.
Man.
They did not like this.
Bible,
but we know that.
And this is coming from the crowd. Like, the Bible is clear and concise and has never changed. And it's like, oh, buddy.
And on the third day, God invented the Remington bolt-action rifle to protect man from the dinosaurs and the homosexuals.
God bless.
Oh,
Amen.
gosh.
So, yeah, that is basically where the beginning of this whole theory started. It started way back in the day.
Yeah.
And now it's being brought up again. Like a lot of things.
Yeah. Chris, take this next segment.
I will indeed. Modern-day flat Earth conspiracy theory has its roots in the mid-19th century when a small group of individuals began promoting the idea that the Earth was flat. Small group. Keep that in mind. One of the earliest proponents of the flat Earth theory was an English writer and inventor named Samuel Rowbotham.
It sounds like a flat earther.
Right? Who wrote a book in 1849 called Zetetic Astronomy, Earth Not a Globe. It's not even like grammatically correct. This dude is wrong on all. Doesn't matter. Rowbotham argued that the Earth was flat and that the idea of a spherical Earth was a myth perpetuated by scientists and intellectuals. He founded the Zetetic Society to promote his ideas and organize public demonstrations to prove the Earth was flat. My question, why? What? I mean, like, people are always like, yeah, it's the scientists trying to trick you. To what end?
Harley and I were discussing this off camera.
To what end? Like why?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And the more people, like, they're all like, oh, they're all hiding it from us. Everyone, every scientist.
Yeah.
All of them.
Well, see, it's like
the more people you include, the harder it is to keep a secret.
Well, it's like with like chemtrails. Like, you know what chemtrail conspiracy is, right?
Yeah, where they think that they're spraying chemicals every time you see one of those like airplane lines behind you.
At least with that, there is a motive that is somewhat plausible, to where it's like they want to make the population sicker, so they go to the hospital, and that's where government and big pharma are involved, and they get money that way. But with flat Earth, it's like, what money? How are they swindling you? Like, what's the initiative here? Like,
I'll tell you who it is.
What's the benefit?
Right?
I'll tell you who it is. It's the globe making companies. They've invested so much money into making globes, and they don't want to make frisbees.
Oh God.
Anyways, in the United States, a religious leader named Wilbur Glenn Voliva founded the Christian Catholic Apostolic Church, which I don't, it is what it is. Sorry, the notes just jumped a little bit.
Oh, sorry.
Christian Catholic Apostolic Church, which taught that the earth was flat and that the Bible supported this view. He organized a number of public events, including a march to Washington, D.C. to promote the flat earth theory.
I kept this.
I'm
funny.
sorry. A march. Like, he thought.
What's the government gonna do?
He thought, we're gonna march to Washington, D.C., just like Martin Luther King, but flat Earth style.
Oh,
Despite these efforts, the flat Earth theory was largely discredited by the scientific community by the mid-20th century. The advent of space travel and satellite imagery provided overwhelming evidence that the Earth was round. And the idea of a flat Earth was relegated to the fringes of society.
However,
because there's always those people. In the late 20th century, the rise of the internet and social media platforms gave new life to the flat Earth conspiracy theory.
I also blame like Photoshop, like not like the company or them did anything wrong, but it's like if that wouldn't have become a thing, like because that's usually what all these arguments hinge upon. Like, oh, it was edited.
Yeah,
and it's like,
yeah,
God, they didn't have that technology back then. Like the moon landing stuff, like that wasn't possible back then, guys.
One of my favorite things to do is out conspiracy theorists. I used to do that to my mom.
Give an example.
It's like, oh, the moon landing was fake, and they just photoshopped that. And I would just be like, that's funny. You believe in the moon. Everyone knows it's just a projection that the government's throwing up in the sky to make you think there's something controlling the tides, but really it's
so
the
you
weather
give like a
machines.
worse conspiracy theory to like
Oh yeah.
make it worse for them.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, the moon controls the tides. So yeah, there has to be something up there, and be like, no, there's weather machines. Those things that you think are oil rigs, they're just siphoning weather. Just come up with that stuff on the spot, and whatever crazy thing you say, there's two ways they handle it. They're either like, okay, this guy's making fun of me, I'll stop, which is great. That's the ideal reaction. Or, and you can see it in their eyes when this one happens, they're like, oh, he's right.
He's on to something.
Which is also hilarious.
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to continue this thing along because we're going to talk about some of these beliefs. So here are some of the tenets and beliefs, just like deconstruction and Christianity. There's no like one set of beliefs with flat earthers. There's a huge amount, but essentially the Earth is not a globe, but a flat disc or plane. The North Pole is at the center of the flat Earth, with Antarctica forming a ring around the edges. The sun and the moon are both relatively small, hovering only a few thousand miles above Earth's surface, and both are about the same size. Oh, I don't think I wrote this in here, but like basically pilots are all a part of this too. Like Australia doesn't exist, and like pilots are all part of this conspiracy.
I believe that Australia doesn't exist. I believe that until I go there myself, and even then, I may not believe it. It's just too wild of a place. I think everybody with an Australian accent is faking it, including the girl I dated in middle school and one of my best friends in college.
Another one is gravity as we know it does not exist. The objects are instead held to the Earth by some other force, such as the Earth accelerating upwards. So like momentum.
We're just moving up. That's it. Moving on up.
To where?
Yeah.
The Upper East Side. To that sky, way apartment in the sky. We're moving on up to the East Side. I finally got a piece of the pie.
Eclipses are not caused by the shadow of the Earth falling. What? Eclipses are not caused by the shadow of the Earth falling on the. Okay, sorry. I was like, what? Eclipses are not caused by the shadow of the Earth falling on the moon or vice versa, but by some other mysterious object or process. Antarctica is an ice wall that surrounds a flat Earth, like Game of Thrones style kind of thing. The horizon appears curved because of perspective and not because of the curvature of the Earth. What I've seen on TikTok all the time is like, oh, we're using a fish cam lens or fisheye lens, and like, yeah, that's all they go to. There's one guy I've seen who does like this experiment. It's like, no, I did this experiment with flat earthers. Check out my camera. Let's put this thing on a balloon, and it's like, even then, it's crazy. The images and videos from space showing a spherical Earth are all fake and manipulated. The space agencies, governments, and other organizations that claim the Earth is round are a part of a vast conspiracy to cover the truth, and many other scientific and historical facts and theories, such as evolution and Big Bang, are also rejected and considered as hoaxes by flat earthers. Guys, I'll tell you right now, quote me on this. It's never just one. It's never just one conspiracy. Like, hear me out. I do not doubt that there are powerful forces in this earth right now that are lying and deceiving us in some way or manner, but there's always money involved, and there's always, like, some way to get rich, because we run on capitalism, we run on those kind of things. However, unless you can provide it by data, you're running yourself for a wild ride.
I read somewhere that most conspiracy theories, like an overwhelming number of conspiracy theories, boil down to anti-Semitism.
Oh, I can catch that.
Whoa.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like you pick one and you can always trace it back. Like the secret government that runs the world, it like goes back to the Skull and Bones group, and then that goes back to like this huge cabal of politicians and everything that are being run by Jews.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it always goes back to anti-Semitism.
Yeah, doesn't Kanye believe like flat Earth?
I don't know, man. I don't care.
Okay.
I don't care what Kanye believes.
So, in an article called "Fighting Flat Earth Theory" by Rachel Brazil, let's talk about the conspiracy mentality. Ashley Landrum, a psychologist in that same article from Texas Tech University, says, quote, "It's not really an education thing." Excuse me. She says, it's really all about distrusting authorities and institutions. It seems to be based on both a conspiracy mentality and a deeply held belief that looks a lot like religiosity, but isn't necessarily specifically tied to a religion. She contends that individuals with a conspiracy mentality no longer belong to the foil hat wearing fringe and have lost the capacity to discern when to believe and when to remain skeptical. They don't believe scientists, but also scientific institutions like NASA, believing that they are all involved in a vast plot to keep the flat Earth reality from being discovered. They view the world through this really dark filter where they assume that all authority and institutions and corporations are just there to exploit you.
All of them.
All of them. And it's like,
yes, they are. Sure. But not with flat Earth. You know what I mean?
Like, I'm fine with like theories, but like, again, show me your data. Show me the real scientific data that you have that explains your theory. Like that's what it comes down to me. And it's like, in my deconstruction, I don't believe anything anymore unless there's data to back it up.
I think there was a guy that is a flat earther that was offering like $1 million to anybody that could disprove flat Earth. And a bunch of people were like, okay, here's the scientific evidence. And he's like, nope, doesn't count. Like
I remember Tim a couple years ago showing me a video of like people disproving, like, wasn't there like a TV show or something?
I'm going to talk
like
about that in a minute.
Disproving flat earthers and them being like,
it was them. They're doing their own experiments. Okay. So before I continue on, I want to share this clip real quick from someone. His name is Dr. C on TikTok. He's an actual doctor, professor. He does mostly, he actually works with like pop culture and entertainment, but he's a really smart man, and he recorded this thing about research, and I thought this was very relevant to this topic because it's the whole crowd of do your own research, Google's free thing, and he kind of talks about that. And I found this really interesting. So, of course, I'll put in a link in the show notes, but I'd like you all to take a listen to this.
So this comment is from a video that I made where I said that the concept of race and the phenomenon of racism didn't really start to develop until about the mid to late 15th century and would develop over the centuries after that. And this came about in large part because of the transatlantic slave trade. And this commenter respectfully disagreed and said that there is evidence that race and racism existed in the ancient world. I asked this person to provide some evidence, some sort of citation or source that I could look into so that I could learn more about this. And they did. They provided a speech by Alexander the Great that was given in 324. The speech is titled The Oath. And in the speech, Alexander talks about how he doesn't care about the national origin of someone or their race or whether they're white or black. For him, it's a matter of virtue and that all people are equal. So I looked into the speech. I read it and I found an academic journal article that talks about the speech itself. The trouble is, though, in that article, there's no citations as to where that speech came from. Usually there's like a citation for like an ancient source or a scholar who, first translated the speech, that kind of thing, but there wasn't anything. And here's the trouble. My area of expertise is American culture in a contemporary setting. I'm not an ancient historian, so I had to ask for some help. And in this case, I asked for Dr. Maxwell Paul, who, if you're not following on TikTok, you absolutely should. Dr. Paul is a classicist, meaning that he studies ancient Greek and Roman history and culture and things like that. And so he did some digging, talked to some of his peers, and was able to confirm that the speech was not, in fact, written in 324 BC. It was written in 1983. Dr. Paul directed me to this website where the author gives a deconstruction of the speech and its origins, goes into some detail about, the use of context and things like that. But basically, the long short of it is The speech was written in 1983 by a Greek politician, and it serves a particular rhetorical and ideological function, but it is in no way ancient. There's no evidence to suggest that Alexander ever said anything like this. And there is a lot we could discuss here related to things like the mythologizing and revising of national histories, the connection of post-racial ideologies to historical figures, that sort of stuff. But what I want to say is this. It is hard to know what is true and what is not, and so research is a perilous endeavor. The person that left this comment on my video is not the first person to be deceived by the individual that fabricated the speech out of thin air. Academic journals were deceived as well, and this underscores an important point. Our peer review process for publishing in academia is the best we have at the moment, but it is by no means a perfect one, and it requires constant vigilance. This is why I get frustrated with people who say things like Google is free or do your own research, because Google is free and Google will provide you with both the deconstruction of this speech as well as the fabricated one. And how would you know which one to trust unless you've been trained in how to do research?
And that right there just hits it for me. Like, unless you have been trained to know how to know what you're looking at is authentic and true, anything you find on the internet can be absolutely farce. And so, yeah, it's just this whole conspiracy mentality. It comes from that mentality of fear and distrust, but they rely on facts and things that may not be peer reviewed. And even then, you got to dig deep and make sure that that stuff is cited and the data is there and accurate and recorded properly in the proper steps using the scientific method in a proper way. It's just crazy deep.
Yeah, dude. That was like what most of getting my degree was about. Like, we had a whole class on like historical inquiry and how to do research, because like if you're just finding stuff, that's not facts.
Right.
It's just stuff.
Yeah. And that's something I've had to be careful about, because like at least I went from one stage to where it's like I just believed wherever I wanted to, and then I was like, okay, well, let me find articles that kind of at least show explanations. But then I had to learn, like, okay, I need to look at what they're citing and where they're getting their data from, and
Yeah,
all that, because it is important, and you really have to just follow that rabbit trail. But that's what makes it so important, because some things are literally life and death, like vaccines and all that shit. And so, anyways. Yeah. Oh, you were talking about the movie. Yeah. The movie is called Behind the Curve. And in the scene, it's at the end of the movie, and they're doing this very simple experiment that you can do, and it's basically just to prove the curvature of the Earth. And what they do is they put these two. If you're watching this on YouTube, they have like these two planks that are standing up vertically, and they put a hole in each one, and they have a huge distance between them. And then on either side of those, you have a guy with a camera on one side, and then on the other side, you have a guy with like a flashlight or something. And so the way it's supposed to work is, they're doing it at the distance where they say the curvature happens. So if the Earth is flat and they have the holes at 17 feet, let's say it's 17 feet, and the flashlight is at 17 feet above water sea level, then you should be able to see it, no problem. However, if the Earth is curved, then you won't be able to see it when the flashlight is at 17 feet because there's a curvature. So these guys, they start running their own experiment. It's them. It's flat earthers running their own experiment. And the guy goes, all right, John, go ahead and lift the camera up. And he goes, all right, it's up. And they see nothing through the holes. And like, are you sure? Like, is it on? And like, yeah, it's on. Okay, well, just raise it up a little bit higher, like, a few more feet up higher. And then all of a sudden you see the light come up, and the guys are like, oh, well, that's interesting. And then, like, the movie just ends there. And then, like, later they come out with some articles like, oh, well, it was actually just water refraction and all. They make these excuses, and it's like, yeah.
It's like, hey, did you score? Okay, cool. Move the goalpost.
All right, so speaking of, let's talk about some of these theories and maybe do our own little debunking. So feel free to interject and...
Oh, I will.
Okay, so a lack of stars in space photos means that they were created with a green screen.
What?
That's one theory. And it's really funny because, like, this is a simple experiment that you can just do outside when it's dark. Like, if you want your person of focus in, you have to change the settings on your camera to get them in focus. And so, like, if you get a bright, like, if it does the flash, you're not going to see that much light behind them unless you're, like, in a very lit space. But, like, if you're, like, on a street, you won't see street lights very bright. It'll be mostly just the person you have in focus of. And that's all it is. It's just lighting. The stars aren't that bright.
They're also
There's also people
super
using
far
just
away.
like iPhones.
Right.
Bro, I can't even see it. It's
Um,
ridiculous.
Okay, here's a fun one. Propulsion can't work in a vacuum, so space travel isn't real.
I don't.
What?
That's not how that works.
Right. So here's the thing. Thrust is produced by rocket engines, which causes the spaceship to move in the opposite direction. It's thrust that makes the ship move, not the propulsion of it. Like, it's not, the whole point is like, well, if there's nothing in space, like there's no like molecules or stuff, air, then how can something move? And it's like momentum. Like it's like how cats move in thin air. Like they can use their body to move and adjust, and it will change the rest of their body.
Yeah.
Like that's how it works. And so what the thrust of the engines do is it uses that to its advantage, and that's how it moves forward.
How do they explain meteors and things like that?
Yeah, I don't.
Comets.
Yeah,
and
like
shit.
the things, or the moon, the things that are in space that do move.
That
like,
move.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
All right, for all you guys that are watching us, I got a visual one for you here. A lot of the things that come up is like, well, why are distant skyscrapers visible despite the curvature of the Earth? And this is there's a photo taken from
Because they're tall as hell. They're skyscrapers, bro.
This photo was taken from Mount Baldy and Indiana Dunes National Park on the southeast coast of Lake Michigan, roughly 60 kilometers across the water from the city of Chicago, which lies on the opposite bank. At that distance, Chicago's skyline should not be visible, at the curvature of the Earth makes it beyond the horizon. The fact that the buildings are visible is in fact simply a mirage, which is really funny because if you look at this photo, yeah, you can definitely see the buildings, but you can also see, like, especially on the right side, if you look there, there's like these lines of like light coming through underneath the buildings.
Yeah. It's like gaps.
Yeah, like. So the fact that the buildings are visible is simply a mirage. Mirages are usually created when a cold, dense layer of air sits above a layer of warmer, less dense air. For example, when the sun beats down on the black road on a hot summer day. The warm ground heats the bottom few centimeters of air, refracting sunlight up to your eyes to create a inferior mirage. But if a layer of warm air sits above your line of sight with a cool layer beneath, you get a super mirage. Light bends down towards the denser air, but because our eyes assume the light has traveled in a straight line, the object appears higher than it is. The effect also explains why a far-off ship can be seen even though it might have dipped down below the horizon. It can make distant boats appear to float in the air.
So not only is it because it's super freaking tall,
Yeah.
but it's also like, what is the word I'm looking for? Kind of flexing your vision
Yeah.
at a distance to make it look like it's
So, like in
super high up.
that scene in Pirates of the Caribbean 4,
Yeah.
where he sees the Black Pearl on the horizon just as the sun comes up, right before Javier Bardem kills him.
Yeah.
Barbosa's like, no, there it is. It's still farther away,
Yeah.
but now you can see it. So
Right.
you know that once they get past the horizon as well, it'll be there.
Yeah. It's convenient for flat earthers, but like you can't really do this kind of eye test with like on land because the elevation changes so much. And so like in the ocean, obviously it's constantly at sea level. And so, but unfortunately things like mirages happen, and which makes it a lot harder to, because that's the thing is they believe things at just your own eye level or at your own perspective. Like what makes sense based on what you can observe.
I only believe what I see.
Then why do you believe in God?
Do you believe in the wind?
Yeah. So next up, the Coriolis effect. This is a fun one. A whirlpool forms when you empty a sink. Even better if it's a huge, elongated pool. The Coriolis effect, which only the rotation of the Earth can explain, is responsible for that. So theoretically, a flat Earth might also rotate on its axis, creating a whirlpool similar to the one that we can see, according to flat Earthers. The issue is that the eddies in the two distinct hemispheres of the pool rotate in opposite direction. Storms and anticyclones do as well. We would require 2 opposing rotating poles that would each affect half the Earth for it to occur on a flat Earth. So essentially, water goes down cylinders a certain way, and cyclones and stuff spin a certain way depending on which hemisphere you're in.
That's like what they say when you flush a toilet in the not real country of Australia.
Yeah.
It goes the other way.
So, yeah.
But wouldn't that also do it in, South
Literally
America?
anywhere that's south of the equator.
Equator.
Yeah. All right.
Ecuador and further.
Say what?
Ecuador and further.
By the way, Honduras is in Central North America.
I'm aware.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sure you knew that.
This Apple Pencil can stab people too, right?
All right, last one. Guys, just go out at night. The entire night sky in the northern hemisphere circles counterclockwise to the North Star, but in the southern hemisphere, everything revolves clockwise around the Southern Cross. We would require 2 celestial spheres for one in each hemisphere, revolving in opposite directions in order for this to be the case on a flat Earth. Just
go outside. Stop. If you believe the flat Earth theory, you are very clearly an internet troll that got sucked in. Just go outside. Experience life. Touch grass. Stop. Reddit and 4chan are not places to live.
No.
Yeah, facts. I just think it's such a bizarre thing to get so wrapped up in, because like you said earlier, how does this affect you?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Why does it matter to you so much that the Earth be flat?
That's not going to change the state of anything.
Yeah.
Nothing will change.
They're
the
all
case.
people that have never left their hometown.
Well, and see, this is the thing.
You're not traveling. Why does it matter?
It's this really why that segment for me was so important about the mentality of people like this. It's it really does just come down to distrust, and it has to do with authority and institutions and whatnot. Because I was joking, but I'm serious. It's usually never just one theory. It's because, and the reason why, it's not because of the factual data. It's because you don't distrust the government or the institutions or whatever it is. And so there are people that I know that I see on social media posting about chemtrails, and I am almost 95% certain that they are also flat earthers.
You have to believe certain conspiracy theories to make other conspiracy theories true.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What was her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene, the giant secret Jewish space laser.
Oh yeah.
You have to believe that Jews are running the world for that to be true. You have to believe that they are working with the Democrats for that to be true. You have to believe that they're funneling money from all kinds of different things for that to be true. And it's just insane, the level of cognitive dissonance you need to believe some of these conspiracy theories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I say some of that not to poke fun, because they do a good job in that movie to kind of make a point. Is people who believe in these things are a result of not failed education, but failed inclusion and failed manner of learning how to learn and not just the facts.
Yeah.
Because that's a big thing. It's the whole research thing. It's not just knowing the information, but it's knowing how you get there that is just as important. And so, in that movie, they show very early on, these people, they believe some pretty wild things along with, the flat earth. One guy was oh, yeah, some of the things that you mentioned with, Jewish people, and another one was, dinosaurs are just another made-up thing to, again, there's no, real point to it, but it's dinosaurs aren't real.
I've heard that one. The devil put the bones there to tempt mankind.
Yeah, stuff like that.
To what end? To what end? How would that, how?
Tempt us with what?
Yeah.
What is that going to do
what
for us?
What sin am I committing by believing in dinosaurs? I don't get it.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, that's all I got, guys. I'm done with this conversation.
Honestly, though, if any of our listeners are flat earthers, we are making fun of you a little bit, but I would love for you to try to convince me. I would truly love that. I would love to hear your standing, your point of view on that.
I will say this: if you can prove it to me without using any YouTube videos, I'm down for the conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, quite literally, like that was like a whole other half of that article that I shared that I didn't include in today's show. It was about how like YouTube videos and
conspiracy theorists love to send you YouTube videos.
Oh yeah,
I cannot tell you how many I've gotten.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're done then, right?
I think so. But don't go anywhere. We still have our fan questions, our fun questions, and we'll talk a little bit about some more stuff.
God.
And we are back. Woo! Not that we went anywhere.
We got stuck in the flat Earth. It never fails. It just makes me crackle up.
Bro, that I can't even right now. Like that topic hurt my head.
It's like again, with some conspiracy theories, at least there is some motive to. I'm like, okay, sure, maybe there is someone out there that is trying to screw you over or whatever. But with that, I'm like, what? Like, how?
There are no negatives to a spherical Earth.
Like, what is there to monetize here? What is there to gain? Like, just yeah.
It's the globe corporations, the map
I'm telling you,
makers.
the people that make globes and maps, they don't want to. It is what it is. All right, guys. We're going to dive right on into our fan questions. So this week we've got a couple of questions for you that may or may not have actually come from fans, which means we need you guys to ask more questions.
Please.
Anything that you want to know. Anything that you are curious to our thoughts about because you've been thinking about it yourself. Ask.
Yeah.
Please ask us questions. We want to answer them. And as
We should-
you have heard, they can be as weird as you want them to be.
God,
Yeah. We should post a reel. I'm not a reel. Well, yeah, but also a video on TikTok just of this, asking people
Okay.
Yeah, please.
what their thoughts are. Like,
Tell us your
include.
thoughts. Give us
Come
questions.
on, Tim, editor.
We need to know. We need to know what you want to know. Help us help you.
Harley, does Hunter do any video editing? Can we hire him?
No,
No. Okay. Darn it.
I don't think so.
I mean, we could hire
I mean,
him,
I can ask.
but I don't know if it would be good to do so.
I think, and by hiring him, I mean, Harley, could you convince your boyfriend to do
Yeah,
stuff for
because he's
us?
not getting paid.
Pay him in kisses.
We don't get paid.
No.
So,
Tender cuddles.
Tender cuddle.
All right, guys. Question 1. If you could live in any fantasy world, but you had to live as a marginalized group, the most marginalized group of that world, which world would you choose?
God.
So, like, we're talking, like, if you decide to go to the Harry Potter world, you would be a goblin or a house elf. If you decide to go to, like, Lord of the Rings, you would be an orc. If you went to whatever fantasy world, but you had to live as the most marginalized, like, you'd be a munchkin in The Wizard of Oz. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
in Star Wars, who is the most marginalized group?
I mean, slaves. They have slaves.
Droids.
And droids.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe being a droid wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Depends on the planet and the owner, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they have human slaves too in Star Wars, but it's only like in the Outer Rim kind of thing.
Or Twi'lek slaves. That a lot of Twi'lek slaves. Rancors.
No, well, that too. My God. On Tatooine. Why can't I think of their names?
Jawas.
No, the natives to the Tatooine land, who we kind of villainize.
Sand people.
Sand people. Golly, thank you. Yes.
Tusken
Oh, yeah, the
Raiders.
ones who
Tusken
scream.
Raiders. Yeah. Yeah.
I do that really well. That
Do it.
scream.
Not too loud. My kids are asleep.
I was going to say Tim's kids are asleep right now, which is the only reason we can record.
Tough. Want to hear it?
Yeah. If you
Come
watch
back to Texas.
if you watch the Book of Boba Fett and like Mandalorian, they kind of really show like yeah, these guys aren't bad people. We invaded their land, so it's
Yeah.
It's almost like they're native.
This
To
is sounding
Tatooine?
familiar.
And people just showed up and started like, oh, what's the word? Is it colonizing?
Started blasting.
What's even worse is like
Force them onto reservations?
what's worse is like not worse, but like what's even more staunch about it is like the planet used to have water on it, and like the reason why they wear masks is because they used to like I don't know if it was like breathe underwater, but that like they need it to survive. And it wasn't until other people came on the planet and killed the Earth or killed the planet that these people needed the mask and everything. So it's like, yeah, we killed the planet and then, yeah, marginalized the people. So Tusken Raiders might be mine.
Okay. Tusken Raiders for Tim in the Star Wars universe. Harley?
If I could, I don't know. I was thinking about Harry Potter with the house elves, but they're still kind of like, they get their ass beat like half the time.
Yeah, they're slaves, yeah.
Yeah.
Their magic is super powerful, though.
Yeah, dude.
See, that's the thing. I think I'm a revolutionary at heart. So if I did the Harry Potter universe, I would use my magic to start a revolution.
Mm-hmm.
So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
maybe that one, but I don't know.
Uh,
I think I would do My Hero Academia for the sole fact that the marginalized people in that show are either people with quirks that make them look non-human or people without quirks at all. So like if you have like a fire controlling quirk but you look human, you're like top tier. But if you look like a dolphin and your quirk is like swimming, you look like a dolphin still, so you're being marginalized. Or if you're born without a quirk at all, you're just a normal human. Those are the two marginalized groups. But I would do that because I would think like I'm going to get really close to the person that currently has one for all, because that can be passed on to somebody without a quirk. So that my whole reasoning is super selfish, but that's what I would pick.
that makes sense. I might even go for Pokemon because you're a
You
Pokemon.
would be a Pokemon, yeah. The most marginalized.
Yeah.
But that
And
begs the
that'd be pretty
question,
cool.
which is the most marginalized Pokemon?
Oh.
I have a solid answer for this, but I want to hear what
What
you
is
guys
it?
say.
I don't know enough to
What's the...
give an
It'd be
opinion.
a really ugly one. So what's the... They all have different, like, powers that are, like, earthy, right? Like fire and water and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I feel like it'd be the earth ones.
it
Anything
depends.
that's, like, earthly. Like the one that's, like, literally just a rock.
Geodude?
Yes.
Yeah. No, my answer, and it is the correct answer, would be Ditto. Because from the second game on, you can breed Pokemon. And you do that by picking a Pokemon you want and leaving it in the daycare with a Ditto. And the Ditto is basically a sex slave. And there are people that like will breed hundreds of Pokemon with the same Ditto, trying to get a shiny version of that Pokemon.
Yikes.
That's tough. That's a good point.
So if you're a Pokemon, you're a Ditto.
Damn. Wait, I gotta look up what the Ditto looks like.
Yeah, what-
yeah, the blobs.
What a dark question to bring into this, Chris.
It got real dark real fast. Yeah.
It did. This was a reflection period. I think it's still... I don't know. I don't think I'd like that very much. It's really hard to pick which
Which marginalized.
yeah, which is like the greatest evil that you're willing to put up with.
Yeah. 100%. What's even crazier to think is that all of those marginalized groups are based on real marginalized groups
Yeah.
Yeah.
in our world.
I mean, in that case, then I guess I'd technically be a Ditto because I'm a woman.
Oh, wow. Shit.
Which is what I was not about to say out loud, but what I was hinting towards for sure. Yeah.
Tough. Well, I guess that settles that. We all kind of...
Let's move on to a happier question, huh? All right. So you're at Xavier School for Gifted Youths, or whatever it's called at the moment. Leave me alone. I don't know who asked this
Andre
question.
Henry.
Andre Henry asked this. But you can't be part of the X-Men because your mutant power isn't useful in a fight. What is it?
I have a couple examples.
For example?
Oh, for me? One is I can grow calluses wherever on my body at any given moment, but it's only at like a quarter of an inch thick, so it doesn't like it's not like
I was
super
going to say
protective.
that could be super useful, but if it's only a quarter of an inch thick, like
Basically
That
like
is so specific.
and you can't grow a callus on another callus.
no.
Just one callus in that spot.
So
and
like
it's like a layer.
yeah, like extra little layers. Like like when you play guitar, you grow like a little tiny layer of callus, like just that much, like that much.
Damn.
That's not even enough to hold a hot pot.
Right.
All right. I get it.
I have another weird one, but I'll let you guys go first.
All right. So mine would be I have the ability to open any door, providing it is not locked or blocked. And it has a twisting door handle. But I can do it without touching it. Also, I have to be within 2 feet of it.
It's like, have you guys ever seen Looper, the movie Looper?
Yeah.
It's like there's this weird human mutation that happens in the future, and they can like levitate these small items, but they can only do it at like a few inches above their hand, and that's it.
Mine's kind of similar to that. Mine would be like I can move objects, but I can only lift them. Like they have to be like less than 50 pounds. And I can't really like.
Well, how fast can you lift them though? Because if you can do it fast enough, you can throw something.
Hold
fast.
on. There was a Rhett and Link song. I'm trying to remember which one it was, where he was like, oh, it was the daddy rap battle, where he's like, well, my daddy can teleport. My daddy has telekinesis. My daddy can telekinesis port, which means he has the ability to move objects with his mind and then transport himself to that spot so he can use that location or he can use that item in the location that he moved it to. It's like you can pick up a can and move it to the other side of the room, and then you teleport to that side of the room so that you can drink from that can.
That would be really useful in a video game.
In a video game, yes.
Yeah.
In real life. Is it? Because you could essentially just walk over instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, mine would be like I can lift it, but that's about it. Like I can't move it.
Just up and down.
Just a few feet or inches or something.
Works really well if
And
you're
it's
in a
like-
broken elevator.
Right.
Oh, and then it's like the maximum of my height.
Oh, okay. And so if you're
So about like 5 feet, 4 inches.
okay, but this would be useful if you get like in an earthquake or something and stuff starts falling on you. Like you can lift that stuff off of you. Well, I guess if it's above 50 pounds.
But are you
not.
going to be in an earthquake where you would need to do that if you're surrounded by the X-Men?
Right.
That's a good point.
Like, you got to compare this power to the X-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I would be utterly useless.
It's like I have the ability to start fires with my mind, but they're 160 degrees. They're the size of a lighter, and they only ignite from my thumb. That's not even enough to light paper on fire.
No.
Basically, it's just a cool little visual thing.
Hey, look what I can do.
Yeah, like I can also put my hand over it, but only because it's actually 160 degrees and it's not a real fire. It's just kind of too hot.
It's a parlor trick. That's what we're talking about here.
Yes.
Okay, here's another
You know,
one.
like when you put a plate in the oven on warm so that your food doesn't get cold, but it's not like cooking anymore. It's that. It's
Yeah.
that temperature.
Okay, I don't know why this entered my head, so apologies in advance. But I would have the power to touch someone's hair anywhere on their body and to take it off, like not without hurting the person, and put it anywhere else on their body or anyone else's body. The thing is, the hair would stay the same length, so it couldn't like grow or anything. But like if I were to grab your head and all the hair there, I could like put it on someone else's face.
That's just a minor inconvenience at that point.
It's like what's her name?
But not even like my whole head, just where your hand touches.
Right.
That's upsetting.
That's just so upsetting for everyone involved.
I have the
you're
same
like
power,
partially
Tim.
bald.
I have the same power. It just requires me to also use a shaver and glue.
But though this person could like really change the hair industry, like people, especially balding people, like just
But not useful for the
Fighting.
X-Men. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel it. All right. This is a fun
It's pretty
question.
good.
I like this thought experiment.
I
Yeah.
don't know where that came from.
Give me one more, Harley.
Oh man, I don't even know.
See, I thought about like being able to like grow your fingernails out really long, really fast. But I'm like that could prove useful. You could stab people.
Yeah, scratch.
I mean, that's
but if you have
essentially
really
what
thin,
Wolverine
brittle
did.
nails, then it doesn't do anything.
Right.
The longer they get, the more brittle they are.
No. It's like you would throw it and then you would like blow, so it'd like go into their eyes. Just.
Oh God! It's dust in my eyes.
I think another cool one that's like not exactly useful would be like maybe the ability to like unlock a lock, but like it's one lock at a time, and then you can only do, and it still takes you like roughly 5 minutes to unlock it.
So you get a guarantee, but you can break into so many safes like that way, though. I guess it wouldn't be useful in a fight.
Yeah.
Good
Or
point.
like maybe, this is actually kind of hard to think off like the top of your noggin.
It's a hard one. It's fun because it's like, what things in your ordinary life would make it convenient for you, but not like useful in a fight? Calluses was a good one.
Being
I'm proud of
able
that
to
one.
read really fast. But like,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah,
Super speed reading,
yeah.
but that's it.
That's it.
Also, you can't retain anything that you read while you do it. So if you're like reading regular, it's fine. But if you're super speed reading, when you're done reading it, you have no idea
It's
what's
gone.
going on.
I mean, that's exactly what happens though already.
I was going to
To
say
me.
that. I mean, to me, that's the same thing as regular reading. You'll just be faster.
Oh my!
Oh yeah, I read that book.
You remember what happened?
Can't no.
That's all we got.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this has been a fun episode. I've learned almost nothing. Final thoughts?
I learned that flat Earth is connected to several other conspiracies,
Yeah.
and that it's not really like not believing in science. It's believing in how everything else is like messed up, or like the
Believing that
distrust
everyone
thing.
is lying to you.
Yes, the belief that everyone is a liar.
Yeah, there's a part of that article I should have copy and pasted. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it said something on what you're saying. It's like it's not the evidence that they need to confirm their own beliefs is minimal, but the amount of evidence they need to counter their beliefs is so much far exponential.
Yeah, and they're just like lies.
Yeah,
Too easy, and I'm like, what?
yeah.
This is crazy.
Right. Tim?
Yeah, I mean, what Dr. C said, I think was probably the most important thing for me is just that's why I have this whole new level with experts and people who have advanced degrees. It's just we think we can find things out, and there are some things that are pretty black and white, but there's a lot of things in our world to where we need experts to not only show us what the information is and how to read data, but how to trust that process and how to use that process. And so there's so many ways that we look at data that we can look at it wrong. In fact, there's another guy on TikTok, I forgot his name, but he works for the no. Is it the Washington Post, that funny TikTok account? I can't remember who it is.
The Onion?
He's young. He's like maybe like young 20s. Anyways, he talks about how he had one video where they discussed how data can be portrayed in very different ways depending on what the user's dogma and intention is. It's the same thing with like gerrymandering. Like you can twist the data and the facts to mean a certain thing. And so it's just as important to not just see the whole picture, but see, I guess, the deeper understanding of why and how what you are seeing is being presented to you. If you Google something, there's a good chance someone's just trying to confirm your bias. And so it's important to keep going down the rabbit trail and to keep figuring that out. But also looking at trusted sources and with trusted data. So yeah, I'm not saying.
I think I found.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. I think I saw a TikTok recently that like played into if you are getting your articles from the first page of Google. Like I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Like you
If
gotta
you don't
dig for that.
know how to Google, if you don't go on like Google Academics, like you're just I don't care to hear what you're saying.
Well, and that's why what he was talking about, like even there was an article journal about that quote unquote speech from Alexander. It's like even that was wrong. Like someone didn't do the research the proper way, and it ended up in an article journal. And so it's just so vital for us to really take our time with the information that we learn to make sure that what we're learning is accurate.
Yeah.
Facts, no printer.
That's all I got, Chris.
I mean, I have no final thoughts on that topic whatsoever. I kind of disassociated the whole time. Like, I cannot be bothered about flat Earth. What I learned is that flat Earth is so ridiculous to me that I can't. That's what I learned. But I understand how people get sucked into it. Like that. No, that's what I learned. I learned how people fall into these rabbit holes. How they get involved in this type of stuff.
Yeah.
And
it's like the same thing with like a cult.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, yeah.
You know, I was in a cult. All right, guys. Let's go ahead and close this out. Thank you all for listening and just being a part of our podcast.
Yes.
Be sure to subscribe, leave a rating on your favorite podcast platform as long as it's a top tier rating. Don't leave us anything less than 5 stars on a 5-star and 10 stars on a 10-star and 3 stars on a 3-star. Do we have any 3-star listening platforms? I don't know. No. Give us the maximum amount of stars and or hearts and or likes or whatever it is. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Always More Pod. We can also be found individually. Tim, where are you at?
I am pretty much on everywhere at Timothy Liechty. That's Liechty.
I'm on Instagram as Captain_CT Ford and TikTok is Christopher.Lionheart. Harley?
You can find me on Instagram at WhatHarley, WUT Harley, and then on the Clock app at harleybean.co.
All right, guys. Thank you again for listening and for being a part of the conversation. And remember, there is always more than this. Love you.
Girl.
Bye.
Bye.